World-class Arizona, as we introduce to you yet another reason why the state proudly uses that phrase. Arizona is a world-class place to live, in part because of this gentleman and his organization, Don Brandt, who happens to be the chairman of the board, president, and CEO of Pinnacle West Arizona Public Service, and I thank you for keeping the lights on. You told me in a recent conversation that APS has been around for 128 years now. But I don't think I've ever asked anybody about the beginning.
Yes, it's just shy of 128 years, and it's an interesting beginning. We were founded by a Japanese immigrant. And if I had his name in front of me, I could read it. I just couldn't pronounce it very well, so we'll skip over that. But he had come to the United States to see one of the World's Fair exhibitions and saw the exhibition and decided to partake in the California Gold Rush and spent some time in California and moved down to some of the silver mines in the Arizona territory. And again, this is before we were a state. APS was around. And in Phoenix, he founded the company that's our predecessor, and they were in the gaslight business. And the interesting how things have changed is the original franchise, which we have a copy of, says that they'll provide gaslight service, something like 18 gaslights in downtown Phoenix, on every night except nights of the full moon. So I'm guessing nights of the full moon was the night off for everybody. You didn't have to have gas lights with moonlight.
Oh, what a fascinating
It
story,
is.
and what a fascinating beginning for this huge organization. As a matter of fact, from what I understand, Palo Verde itself, the Palo Verde nuclear plant, is the largest power producer in the United States. But I remember when it went up, and I remember the debates in the newspapers and television and radio news. How safe is it, and are we all going to glow in the dark as a result of having nuclear power in our neighborhood? So remind everybody, how safe is Palo Verde?
It's extremely safe. And we're not going to glow in the dark. We're going to glow in the benefit of a very dependable long-term supply of power. Palo Verde doesn't just provide power to Phoenix or Arizona, but the desert Southwest. And you're right, it is the largest producer of power of any kind in the United States, and that's been true for 22 years straight.
And for 22 years, it's been doing that for us and for others, and it certainly has been a producer, too, of not only power, but also inexpensive power.
That's correct, and lots of it.
What about the infrastructure? Arizona is growing and growing and growing, still continues to. What kind of infrastructure investments do you have planned for the future as APS?
Great question. We're investing about $1 billion a year, and we have to take a very long-term approach to our planning and our investing, because we're looking by 2030 adding about a little more than 50% more customers than we have today. So
Really?
That's 600,000 customers on top of 1.2 million current customers. And you just don't build a power plant or a transmission line or even distribution lines overnight. It takes a lot of planning, permitting, investment, and the build out of this infrastructure. So we have people that are literally downtown Phoenix in our headquarters building planning for what we're going to be doing in 2020, 2025, et cetera.
You're a St. Louis boy, back with those Cardinals, and now you exchanged Cardinals and your loyalty to a group of other fellas who perform here on Sundays. When you're talking about Arizona, though, that is a unique kind of reality here. Storms, monsoons, the rainstorms that we had not long ago. Sometimes our lights go out and you can't help it. What about outages? What are you doing?
Well, one is our crews. They're always stationed to respond any day of the week, any hour of the day, regardless of whether it's 118 in Phoenix or 20 below in Flagstaff. And I've seen our crews out in both kind of conditions. But actually, from a reliability standpoint, we are one of the best in the nation from customer outage. Very minute amount of outages. Now we understand it's one thing on average if it's a half a minute a year, but if you're out for several hours, I guarantee our people are on top of it almost at the time you're aware of it.
But if it's my house and you get the lights back on pretty fast, hey, I'm grateful.
It matters.
And you know what else? It's one of the reasons why it is that I, as an APS customer, says, you know what? Hey, when those lights go on, in particular after a storm, I say APS is world-class Arizona.